When the sun sets, the undead awaken. To slake their hunger, they feed upon the herd of unaware mortals. Right beneath our noses, the kindred clash against their rivals as they vie for control of the city of San Francisco. Are you strong enough to cheat final death and see another night? Vampire the Masquerade Rivals expandable card game from Renegade Game Studios.
Welcome everyone to Vampire Wednesdays. I am Sarah Erickson, Director of Sales and Marketing here at Renegade Game Studios, and I am joined this evening with a very special guest, Dan Bojanowski, Senior Producer here at Renegade Game Studios. Welcome, Dan.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
So there's a special reason why I brought Dan on this evening, and that's because we just this week received what we're gonna, for the use of this video, call the first shot of Vampire the Masquerade Rivals expandable card game, which is very exciting. So Dan, just so we're all on the same page, do you want to explain what a first shot is?
Sure. So yeah, when during the manufacturing process, there's a whole bunch of steps. When we finish the files and send them off to our factory, there's a whole bunch of things that happen, a whole bunch of steps before we actually get the final product. And one of those is, I'll give you a little behind the scenes. The first thing that happens, we send the files, we get e-proofs. These are digital proofs. Basically, they spit out back to us all the files that we sent to them to make sure this is what we want to do. We review them with a fine-tooth comb, make sure everything looks perfectly. Then they go once we sign off on those e-proofs. And then from there, a lot of times we'll go to what this is. And this is a kind of a first shot, a hand sample. And this is before mass production, but this is kind of them putting together a look at what this will look like in the end, but it's not everything mass produced to the level of not them turning on the machines for all the cards and all the stuff at the high rate so they can get the mass quantities out there. So this is just a first look. If this looks good, then they go to the next step, which is mass production, and we get another pack out check from there so we can see how it's all final pack out check. That looks good. Then they go to the full-on production and pack everything out, and then it comes to you guys and you get to see the finished product all A-okay. So this is our first time seeing it. We're excited to look at it, and yeah, that's what we got here.
Yeah, so Desiree, who helps us out on the back end as our video producer for these shows, she received this copy this week in the mail, and she has already opened it and organized it a little bit. So when you actually receive your copy, you're gonna open it up and there will be some little packs for each different deck, and there will be little pieces of cardboard to punch out for your tokens and the rules and all sorts of other stuff. But we're gonna go through this copy that she's already opened up and organized a little bit. One thing actually Dan mentioned prior to this call is that when he got his copy to just double check all this stuff, there were a few little minor things that we noticed that we have already changed to make it even better. So it's just perfect when it arrives to you. You mentioned the way the cards are actually packed together. Dan, do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, I'll mention a couple of the things that we caught in this hand sample. Is number one is the cards. So to give the best unboxing experience for customers, new customers, what we intended was that each of the 4 clan decks would be shrink wrapped separately, so that you open a deck and there it is, playable right out of the shrink wrap. And then the city deck and the crypt pack, I believe those are wrapped in a pack as well. So I think there's 5 different shrink wrap packs intended to be in there. Each one is kind of already separated. But when I got mine and what Desiree got as well, was they were slightly I don't know if the factory took our sheets and did them differently or whatever, but they're kind of like half and half. So I've got half the Brujah deck and a few city deck cards, and then some of the Malkavian deck, and then some of the Toreador deck and whatnot. So it's a little bit sloppy on the opening here, and would not be a good customer experience to have to like figure out what the deck is right away. So that's definitely something that was not intended and something we will fix before it gets to you guys.
Which is exactly why we do this.
Yeah.
So it's pretty exciting we get these copies early. All right, Desiree, if you could actually show us your beautiful box over there, we're going to let everyone else see what we've been oogling over the last few days. We've also already sent this to our photographer and had our photographer take some absolutely incredibly beautiful pictures of this that we'll use later on to share with even more new people coming into the game. So Desiree is going to show us the box and then open it up and show us all the stuff inside.
Let's show the box off a little bit.
Oh yeah, you can show the back of the box.
I think one of the things that impresses me is just the size of the box. Like, yeah, now you can see your hands. So I just, it's for me personally, when I'm working with these products digitally for, a year plus on the front end, to then finally be able to hold it in my hands and see what it looks like, how big it is, how it relates to the components inside is a really exciting thing. So I think that just wanted to show off how the size of it. It's actually quite large for the box, and that was intentional so that we could give you a good core set with a nice insert that could hold not only this core set, sleeved or unsleeved, but also another expansion or two in there as well. So depending on whether or not you sleeve, you'll be able to fit more or less, obviously. But we wanted to leave some extra room in there so that this could be a storage box for a while for you, not just for the core set.
Nice. Thinking ahead. That's always very important.
Yeah.
All right, Desiree, if you want to open that up for us, I'm excited to see what that looks like inside. So this is after somebody's already organized it. Like I said, you're going to find, first thing is that beautiful rule book.
Yeah. It's a nice rule book. Lots of love went into this, and many rounds of revision to get to where it is. I hope it's a nice tool for new players and a nice reference material as you're playing. On the back, it's got the turn sequence and a battle sequence summary and all that stuff. So I hope that's a good rule book for you all to learn the game and use as a reference while you're playing.
I also just want to call out that several of you actually in the chat tonight helped us make this rulebook even better. When we did that very first preview at Gen Con, we got so much really good feedback about the rule set, about the way the game worked, about way things that were explained in the rulebook. And we made a lot of updates based on that feedback. So if you were one of those people who helped us out, thank you so much. That was amazing. And I think everyone else who gets to play this game will appreciate that too.
I agree. Yes, thank you for your help. It's always great to have extra sets of eyes. When reading those rule books and revising them, you read them so many times and they just start to kind of blur where you're like, okay, yeah. But someone with a new set of eyes coming in fresh is always very helpful because they'll see different things. So we definitely appreciate backer feedback, and you guys who are really getting in on the front end of this, really digging in. That's really great. Thank you.
Awesome.
Let's look through some of the tokens first. So again, these will come in sheets that you'll have to punch out. It does come with a bunch of bags that you can sort them into as we go.
I love plastic baggies in games. It's so helpful
Because
then you can put it on your shelf.
More than you need, but not enough.
Yeah, exactly.
So here we have blood and prestige tokens. I can't tell how you've sorted those. Are those of a specific color?
Oh, here we go.
Okay. Yeah, there are enough bags for you to sort the blood prestige tokens in separate bags for each player color. So there's probably, you would put, each of the colors plus the leader token in each of those, because those are the specific player colors.
And remember, that's important, especially if you're using those during, say, an event. You'll want to put one of your color tokens on the event to show that you were the one who drew it, so that when it comes back to you, then that event clears. There's lots of reasons why having those different color tokens makes sense. Even though they do the same thing for each player, they still need to be colored so you can tell different players from each other. Also, during schemes, you'll need different colors as you're putting those on the schemes as well. So that's very helpful.
And
Oh, yep.
Desiree just put out the leader tokens there as well, in the different player colors.
Also, anyone who ended up with that upgraded version during the Kickstarter, these tokens are the ones you'll find in the base game. But later on, when we get those samples of those upgraded tokens, we'll make sure to share those with you too.
Yep, and that upgrade token upgrade comes with 80 blood prestige tokens in the plastic heat transfer nice clinkety clankety tokens. I should be getting Sarah. I mean, maybe you'll have me back. I should be getting the samples for those very soon. I think they're sending me samples in the next week or so.
Excellent.
Crossing my fingers.
That'll be fun. Yep. Nice. So Desiree.
Okay. Okay. And I would note that on this is one of the other things that on my hand sample, this is just kind of a peek behind the curtain. My tokens were a little off center on one side. So the one side was good, but the back side was a little off center. You can see there's a little bit more orange on the top than on the bottom there. That was just, again, these are not the mass produced versions of the tokens. So when they do these hand samples, they're just like literally like hand punching them sometimes. So they were off centered a little bit. So we just made sure that to call that out and be like, hey, just in the future, we know this was a hand sample, but make sure that in the final product, these are not off centered like that. So I don't know if Desiree's are like that as well, but if you're seeing that, that's okay.
They can hear me.
There's a surprise in. Oh no, we can hear you.
I don't think they could
There's
though. So they are like this one is
Oh.
off just a tiny bit, like for these close-ups, but it's not like it wasn't too crazy. Like this one, I could barely tell.
And there's also some optical illusions that we use just because they're never going to be 100% exactly precise. So things like the way that the color on the border is, it's graphically designed. We do that to try and make it so if it's off just a teeny bit, it's not as noticeable. Little things like that you wouldn't really think about until you're having to be the graphic designer for a game like this.
Yep.
But lots of thought in all the details.
And Desiree, have you shown off the agenda tokens, the ones with the crown on them? Okay. Yep. So there's two different sizes of agenda tokens, the 5 and the 1. Obviously, way to win the game. One of the ways you can win the game is by getting enough agenda. So these are some nice little tokens for you. Got a bunch of them there.
Nice.
And then I believe there's rival tokens, the player little cool shaped ones that have 1 through 4 for player numbers. On the back side, it's blank, so you can randomize them.
Oh, yep. So those, you may not have seen if you actually played the Tabletopia version of this, because I think they were in there, but you're going to be randomizing those at the beginning of the game. And in the Tabletopia version, they were just kind of already out there. So it's nice to see how they're really going to look.
Okay. And then a couple more tokens. There's the first player token, or the start token, which just signifies who takes the first actions. And then the no leader tokens as well. Or I'm sorry, no influence tokens.
Those went through several different naming conventions.
Yeah.
We eventually settled on no influence, but
yes. Yep.
Nice.
So you slap these on your vampire when they've used their influence to signify that, and then it comes back at the end of the beginning of the next round.
Nice.
So there's all the tokens.
And anyone in chat, please feel free to ask questions. We don't get to talk to Dan very often. So if you have questions about any behind the scenes stuff, with the manufacturing or with the way that the game gets from just a little nugget of an idea all the way to being printed, he's the guy to ask. So you have met Matt Hyra several times on the show. He actually gets to design the game. Dan makes the game happen. Takes the whole team.
Yep, and I believe that's all the tokens. That's a total of 123 tokens in the core set of varying sizes, shapes, and types. So a bunch of those.
So we do actually have a good question in chat. Someone is actually Loyal Citizen is wondering, are tokens coated with any protectives? You want to talk about that, Dan?
Yeah, I mean, the punch board that we use is the punch board that we use for most of all of our games has a aqueous coating on it. It's it's a 3 millimeter thick punch board, I believe. I can't really that would be more of a Alicia question as to the specifics and the specs on it. But if you're familiar with any of our other products, any of our other tokens from our other games, it would be very similar to those.
So that's what makes them a little bit shiny, is that aqueous
Yep.
coating. It's not protective in the sense that you could play Vampire Rivals in a pool, but it's going to be a little resistant to normal wear and tear. And they do look really nice and shiny.
Nice and glossy, yep.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So with all of these tokens, you're now seeing why we have this beautiful insert that keeps everything organized, because you don't want those running all over the place in your box.
Yep. All right,
And Awesome is Coyote is asking if we have the fancier version of the tokens. I think you missed this. We mentioned a little bit earlier that we actually have those coming in the next couple of weeks. We don't have them for this unboxing. That we're getting things as the factory is making them. So that's hopefully the next thing we get to see. We're very excited to see them too.
Yeah, and as Sarah kind of alluded to, there's the insert that you can kind of see on the overhead view there. I'll talk about that for just a little bit. So there are two main wells at the top that feature a spot that you could put. That's a good spot where you could put the tokens. You can put all that stuff in there, or those could be for your featured decks, whatever your main decks you plan to use. That would be a fine spot for those two. And then in the main slots there are six different spots for dividers or for cards, little ridges sticking out there that can be sorted as you need. We've got this so that it works for sleeved cards or unsleeved cards. There are the 12 dividers that come with the game that will give you a slot or a divider that is for each of the 4 clans for the deck that you're planning to use. So if you have a Brujah deck, and then there's a separate one that says like Brujah extras. So you can have your deck for that clan and the cards you're not using for that clan in that deck. So that's 8 of the dividers. And then there's a city deck divider, a Haven divider, an agenda divider, and then a miscellaneous divider, because there's always going to be some extras somewhere. And we wanted to be able to give you guys a slot for that. So the dividers come with it, and as we put out more content, new clans, new card types, whatever, we will release dividers with those as well, so that you can continue to upkeep your storage solution, whether it be in the core box or if you use a different storage solution of your own.
So Awesome as Coyote was also asking if we're going to make deck boxes in the future. So we don't have any deck boxes that we have yet announced. But this is a card game, so we'll see what happens.
we are very experienced in making deck boxes as well. Our collective team has made many a deck box.
That is very true. I remember being in the warehouse at one of the previous companies I worked at, just sorting deck boxes for a very long time.
Yes.
Getting ready to go to a big tournament at a show that we were going to. So yeah, no, we love deck boxes. I think they're very useful. There's lots of stuff that we want to make, especially when we're able to do more organized play, and things like play mats are really exciting. We talked about those a little bit the last few weeks. So of course, yeah, there's lots of options. If you're excited about deck boxes, that's good to know.
Cool. And then the main portion of the the box here is cards, and Desiree seems to be pulling those out and putting them in separate piles. But inside this box, there are a total of 291 cards. So there's a whole bunch of them, and I'm guessing if you're watching this, you might know most of what's in there. But there are four clan decks that are fully playable out of the box, along with a 27 card city deck, a 63 card crypt deck, which has all the extras that you will put together and use to customize your decks. And it's got some player aids and things like that. So I don't know, Desiree, what you want to do, if you want to kind of thumb through some of the cards or show off some specifics, or I don't know what the best way to do this is.
Sure. If we want to like look at a few of a specific deck, we can do that. Like for the close-ups, if we want. Right now, I believe I took out Bruja. If we want to take a look at some of those.
Sure.
So
Yeah. There's 7. In each deck has 7 vampires that are in the vampire deck, and so that wouldn't be too tough to kind of go through and show off some of those.
Also, while Desiree is putting those up there, I saw some good discussion in one of the Discord channels this week about sleeves. And we do have a couple of sets of sleeves that we are working on. They'll come in your boxes along with the core set if you were one of our Kickstarter backers at the highest level pledge. But as far as actually playing in a tournament, whether or not you need sleeves, all that kind of stuff, we'll be working on actual tournament documentation. They'll lay that out and give you the specifics of what needs to be sleeved, what can't be sleeved, what has to be sleeved, what kind of sleeves, all of those questions you were asking, we'll make sure we answer. But there are a lot of different card backs in this game. So that's an important thing to think about. And we have been thinking about it. So we'll let you know when we have more answers for specific tournament play questions. But for now, I think if you want to play with clear sleeves so you can see the back of some of those cards, if you want to use our official sleeves for the city deck and the library deck, that's what we currently recommend.
Yeah.
All right, so I am currently showing Hydra as a close-up. So I have them all here on the table, but I can slowly show them as close-ups, or if we want to do certain ones, you call out a name or...
All right, if there's a card from Bruja that you really want to see and you're in the chat right now, we'll make Desiree go find it.
And I can show at least like the Haven and the agenda, since those, there's only one of those. So that was Hydra, typically what we've been starting off with for the leader in Tabletopia. Here is the agenda card for Bruja and the Haven.
Nice. I love the way the final colors turned out.
Yeah. Me too. These cards look great. And this is not a spoiler or anything, but I think I keep watching the art come in for the future sets, and I think this art in the core set is great, but it just keeps getting better. The more we work with these artists, and the more we kind of refine our list, and I think it's just all awesome. We keep seeing more and more exciting artwork.
So Dan, as far as these cards go, you've got some in your hands right now because you've got your copy there as well, or at least somewhere around you. And you've played a crazy amount of card games. You've been playing TCGs since there were TCGs pretty much. So what can you tell us about how you go about choosing the materials for these cards?
You're talking manufacturing?
Yeah, like what they're made out of,
Sure.
why we use the materials we do, that kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, obviously with a game, we make lots at Renegade. We make lots of different types of games. Some of them feature cards slightly. Some of them feature cards very heavily. And when choosing the card stock, it's an important decision. It affects your costs. It affects your user, your customer's experience. There's the thickness. There's the snapness to it. There's the finish on it. There's the glossiness of it. There's all sorts of things to take into consideration. When looking at a game like this, that is the focus is the cards. It's all about the cards. That's the main component. That's the most important thing. You can't cut corners on the quality of the card stock. So that's where we started, is that this had to be the best of the best and the industry standard for the premium in the industry for cardstock. So we have several that we can choose from, and this is the best of the best that we work with. Frankly, it's the best on the market that I'm aware of. It's the same stock that Magic uses.
So there's a few things you'll notice about these cards when you actually get them in your hands. One thing that's fantastic is they pass the bend test. So essentially, if you take the two short edges of the card and you sort of bend them together and let go, then they're going to go back to flat. And if you use a lower quality cardstock, it'll sometimes, if you go a little too far, it'll crack and sort of crease right where you're bending it. That's one way you know whether or not the card is a higher quality paper or not. Another thing you notice about these cards after you've played them for a little bit, especially without sleeves, is that lower quality paper doesn't quite, I don't know what exactly the mechanic is, but it doesn't really soak up the ink in quite the same way. And I've seen them chip. And these cards generally aren't going to do that as much. Like the edges will stay a little bit sharper. The paint on them, the ink and everything will stay in there a little bit better. And the cards just kind of hold up, which is, again, really important when we're talking about a card game, that you're shuffling often and you're playing with a lot, and you're not just playing this game one time and then putting it back on your shelf. We want these cards to be usable for a long time.
Definitely.
So that's why we use the stock we do. But yeah, we have a lot of experience with it, and this is definitely the best of the best.
Yep, and there's only that limits us to the factory that we can use, because not all factories stock this type of paper. They have to bring it in special. But we don't want to cut corners. We wanted to make sure that this is the best that we could provide. So
awesome. Anybody else want to look at a particular card? Desiree has been kind to put out a whole bunch of different ones for us here.
I'm just putting up some of them that I really like while I wait to see if anybody has a request.
Nice. Does anybody have a favorite artist? I know that we talked with Anita a few weeks ago about different art in this game. There are a lot of very distinct, very different, cool artists. Bunny, yeah. Do you remember the artist that did Bunny, Dan? I'm trying to remember.
No.
We talked about him a lot. Oh yeah, and Awesome as Coyote wants to see some Toreador. Uh-huh.
Oh, Drew Tucker, yeah. Yeah, he's
Tucker, yeah.
One of my favorites. He's got such a great style.
Yeah, he really stands out. I think his art is just so different and cool.
Yep. Sure.
Sure, yeah, let's show some Toreador. Also, Dan Solo is wondering if there are any Venture Vampires we haven't seen on the stream. I don't think there are. I think we have shown all the vampires so far.
We've shown them from the deck and from any that were in the crypt pack.
I believe that we did. We did a deep dive of the Venture just a couple weeks ago. So if you haven't watched that yet, you'll get to see all the fun cards in there. I'm pretty sure we showed all the vampires from the crypt pack there too. Oh yeah. Somebody also would like to see all close-ups of all of the crypt pack vampires. That's a good idea. We could definitely do that. Nice.
So agenda and Haven for Toreador, and then just showing some of the vampires.
That new Merlot color is really nice. I like that.
Yeah, I think it definitely stands out more, like Anita was saying, rather than just using red, since we use red for blood and everything. It makes them stand out a bit more.
There's a lot of red.
Yeah. Alright, and one last vampire for Toreador. Ty Smith, one of my favorites. He has a nice fur coat. It's fancy.
Nice. I like it.
Oh, don't we have to
I could
call?
use a fur coat like that about now.
Don't we have to call out a special card? Somebody with a lot of shoes.
We should see the one with lots of shoes. It was a venture card. Extra bonus points if you remember who it was.
I gotta find. I feel like I'll know it when I see the actual vampire before I even see the shoes. But let's see if I can find it. So wait, what? I'm all excited now.
I really want to see it.
What are we looking at next?
That's awesome.
Crypt Vampires, right?
We wanted to see all of the Crypt Pack vampires.
Okay. Let's see. So here are two Ventrue. So we have Yusuf and June for the Ventrue. And then we have for Malkavian, Jesus and Doc.
Nice.
Hopefully. Those ones will actually be more green than they're showing up. I have them on a green screen right now, so you might not be able to see them very well.
Blending in.
Yeah.
Interesting.
But they're more green than what they look like right now on the screen. Right.
Bruno is the one with the shoes.
Oh, I was going to try to find it.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, it's okay.
for
I
you.
still-
Actually, I blame Awesome as Coyote.
We have Shades and Flick.
I love Shades. I think that art is just awesome.
I agree. All right, and then for the Toreador, we have Bunny, Benitez, and Bongcha Park. I believe that is all from the Crypt Pack. For vampires, anyways. All right.
Nice. Oh yeah, Drew Tucker's art is so cool.
All right, so what's next? Should I try to find Bruno?
I think we need to see Bruno, yeah.
Okay.
Very cool. And if you have any last final requests, we are getting close to the end of this unboxing. I know there's a lot of cards in here, so we probably won't show all of them to you, but we did want to give you a good overall sense of what it's going to feel like to open up this box and how much room there is in it. As you can see, there's those 6 different slots for decks. So we expect this to work at least through that first expansion pretty easily. And yeah. Oh, there's Bruno. Nice. Oh my goodness, he does have a lot of shoes, doesn't he?
And then I.
Oh, Awesome as Coyote. We are not ready to show off the next expansion box quite yet. Not quite there.
And I showed showing Randolph. I really like his art. He seems very like his eyes are sort of shining in the light, and he's like in the shadow. I don't know. I think the art's pretty cool for him.
Yeah, he is extra scary. I like the atmosphere around him.
All right. I don't know if there's
Very
any
neat.
other vampires or combat cards or.
Actually, do you want to just quickly show us the havens?
Sure. For the crypt pack or the regular havens?
Yeah, so there's the 4 havens and the regular, and then the 4 crypt pack havens.
Yeah.
So if you want to show us like the 4 crypt pack havens, that'd be cool.
Sure. All right. So here are 2 of them. We have the Dragon's Roost and the Dockyards.
We probably won't show you all of them because I need to go eat dinner. This is very exciting.
And then we have
Oh, nice.
we have the Old Post Office and Artist Lofts.
Nice. So what's great about these is, I think we talked about this a little bit before, but just how much they change your deck and your strategy. So having those 4 extra ones that you can swap in and out from the original 4 decks that you start with is really important. And I think it gives people that chance to really make a deck that they want to play that fits their style, or you just get to try a whole bunch of different decks and try a bunch of different styles. So I encourage people to play around with those. That should be really fun, and they're just such a cornerstone of what your deck does.
Awesome.
Very cool.
Yeah. So we do have, I don't know if we wanted to show, we've shown them before digitally, but we have the 4 agendas if we want to show those, at least from the Crypt Pack.
Sure. Yeah, again, just like the havens, those are also pretty important. So Dan, you were saying there are dividers for the havens and the agendas as well, so you can keep those
Yes.
totally separate?
Yeah, that's correct. There's the one for each of the 4 clans, plus the one for each of the clan extras. They're not for your decks. And then havens, agendas, city deck, and miscellaneous. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, those plastic dividers are really a huge bonus. I think it's just so nice to have everything organized. Although we still, even though this box is clean and organized and has everything where you want it to go, we do not recommend shaking it strongly if you want to keep all of your cards in one place.
Was that a dig at me, Sarah?
It's possible that a member of our team did this already.
Yeah, so I did that. I took, like I said, when I got the cards, they were not all sorted, so I took the time and to sort them out and make sure they were all there and look through them, make sure the backs matched, did all my QC that I need to do. And then I was like, well, let me take this and kind of shake it around and see what happens. Well, you know, my cards aren't sleeved, so it wasn't as snug, and it just was a bad idea. I really shook it and mixed it and did everything, and my cards were all over the place. So I do not recommend doing that. So I haven't taken the opportunity yet to go back and resort them because I just was a little demoralized after that. After sort them, and then I did it to myself, you know.
Yet another reason why we need to work on those deck boxes that were suggested earlier. Not a bad idea.
It's a good storage solution, the core box, but it's not an all-terrain storage solution.
All-terrain. Did not withstand the shake test. That's okay.
I did it, so you
now
don't have
we
to.
know.
I'll tell you right now.
That was very kind of you. That's right. That will take you a lot of extra time that you have now saved for anyone watching this fantastic video. They will now know, do not shake.
I bet if you had them sleeved, they would probably be fine. But if you don't, there's a little bit too much room. So.
That's true. And that was on purpose. We did want to make sure that there was enough room in there for sleeve cards because that's also very important. Yep. So that's okay. Awesome. Well, I think that is almost all the time we have for tonight. Next week, we will be back here again at 5 o'clock Pacific time with more exciting Vampire the Masquerade Rivals expandable card game news and fun stuff to talk about. I agree with Awesome as Coyote. Matt needs to make a card that's called All Terrain with an image of Dan dropping cards. That's pretty good. So we love chatting with you every week. Thank you so much, everyone who's been in the chat, all of your fun discussions in Discord. I do love reading them. I go and check that out whenever I have a few extra minutes. So keep up the good work over there. And thank you, Dan, so much for joining us. Also, thank you, Desiree, for all your hard work organizing all of those cards and showing them to us so carefully. Really appreciate that. So we will see you all again next week. Have a wonderful rest of your week and have fun. We'll see you later. Bye.
Bye.